introduce today's speaker, Shawn Lisbon, VP of Business Development for North America at TIE Kinetics. Shawn, welcome.
Thanks very much. I appreciate everyone taking the time today to join this walkthrough. So the hope here today is to cover a few things related to specialized channels, in specific the different types of partner communities that are becoming more and more prevalent, indirect sales forces to sell products through. And so we'll try to cover just a couple things today. This won't be incredibly long. A little overview on what we see as a good definition for what a specialized channel really entails, what it is that makes them different, and then we'll try to present a few things that we think are good motivational tactics that will help as you move into that specialized arena. And then we'll finish this up and give you a little background on who TIE Kinetics is and sort of where we fit into the space. So to jump right into it on a specialized channel, we'll use this right from BAPT's own website, but you see a lot of different types of channel partners. I've been around the channel for a while. We've seen the traditional DMR big box pushers, and then really sort of what you found over the years now is that as you get into other arenas where technology is becoming a focus, you start finding these partners that don't really fit the same model. They can be somewhat of a new breed, and then really inside of that they become a little bit more specialized, right? So they're different types of companies that you don't normally partner with and sell through to. And that could be wide-ranging. We've seen everything from HR consultants, marketing agencies have become a really big, a big sort of sell-through, and MarTech and AdTech lately. Local retail has been popping up, business consultants. We've seen a lot of that now. You've got these sort of people that are niched, might be in HR or finance. They know a specific vertical or industry, and they have a network where they can resell and re-push products. And none of these fit the traditional PC connection, SHI, or regional VAR model, right? They're much more specialized and much more niche. And really, when you start realizing who your target audience is for that buying persona, you realize that if it's marketing products that they're purchasing, wouldn't a marketing agency or advertising agency be the best place for you to sort of look to move that product through? And so that's really where we're noticing this shift and this different group of partners, and you need to treat them a little differently. You need to talk to them. You need to understand what it is that they do. And really, we've noticed a few different trends, and as we've been researching on this in the last year or so, we're seeing it's very different for them. Most of these types of partners, even though they want to sell technology and they want to resell products, and it is growing, it's still a very small percent of their business that they're doing today. And because of that, you have to treat them a little differently. You have to understand their models, because they are very different in a lot of cases than what you're traditionally seeing. We've talked to some people and we've seen some interesting quotes come through. One that stuck out to us was really, marketing agency was very, very adamant, talking to someone at the BAPT group. It's so much more than commission to them, right? They don't, it's almost a secondary option, right? This is something to add to their product portfolio. It's not part of their core competency. It's not something that they do today. It's something that they're interested in doing, but it has to work for them, right? It has to make sense of their business model, and you can't just build something that you normally build for a managed service provider and expect a specialized marketing ad agency to take the same interest in what you're doing. So this has kind of been the trend we've seen as we've talked to multiple companies and we've moved into a lot of these specialized channels. They have different levels of interest, different levels of technology savviness, marketing expertise, and they care about things in a very different manner than what we've normally seen from our traditional partner marketing automation space that we target. So I'm just going to jump into a quick poll question here. Sam, I'll let you go ahead.
All right, thanks. We're opening up the first poll right now, ladies and gentlemen. How much growth are you seeing in specialized partners? We'll leave this open for a little bit and let everyone get a chance to cast a vote. We got under 20%, over 20%, over 50%, or 100 and plus, 100 per plus percent.
I know how that looking. Sam, everyone got a chance to share their thoughts?
Yeah, it looks like the majority is under 20%. Pretty much 100% of those who voted were at the under 20% range.
That's great. Good to know. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. You know, it's a new emerging channel. It's not the place you traditionally focus your dollars on. So that seems to be a very true number. So what we wanted to try to cover was some things that we thought were really relevant tactics to try to motivate these types of partners. You know, one of the things, you know, I can go back to working from a DMR perspective. You know, there's a lot of things that a DMR will do and allow you to do to motivate and to push volume that a small IT consultant won't let you, right? And you don't care about those things with the IT consultant because he doesn't push as much volume of your product. Now you get into that next level, you get into these niche, these specialized partners, these emerging partners, if you will, and it's a whole new ball game, right? And so one of the things that we wanted to talk about is a few options. So one of the things really to cover today is offering clear, simple packages that match what they do, match what they say, match how they talk. Another is really trying to make that easier by leveraging technology. You want to make sure if you can automate these sorts of things and deliver things to them in a way that are useful, that's relevant. And then really showing ROI that tells the right story. So for us, having data, having some information based on the results of the things that you're helping these specialized channel partners do is really relevant, because a lot of these specialized channels are a little bit more interested in that, especially when you get into marketing agencies, MarTech and AdTech. The data really matters to them, and so having information on the things that you share with them that you can share back is really a relevant step towards success. So to cover the first one, that sort of packaging and content and understanding the partners, really what we found is that a lot of the specialized channel partners, they want the products and services to represent their brand and enhance it, and the revenue is a secondary thing. So to the quote we referenced earlier, you know, they don't just want, give me a discount. Is it 43% off list, and then I'll go sell it, right? They say, well, I'm building a brand. I have a brand. We are a niche player doing something very specific. You have to show them some sort of value, right? Your product has to match the types of things that they care about, and the revenue is then the secondary option. So if they can walk into an existing account and add value in a way that shows that they're maybe leading edge in what they do because they've now decided to offer a technology product or a new product into the suite of solutions they do, it enhances their overall value. They bring a lot more to the table, and in their particular industries, that might be an even bigger plus for them than the actual revenue that comes from it. Now, certainly, they don't want to do it for free, right? It needs to bring some sort of revenue to them, and give them a new revenue stream. But really, putting an emphasis on delivering quality content and relevant branding information to them should be a huge thing that you focus on in this arena, and really trying to create unique packages for them, I think, is a really important step here. You don't want these partners to get the cookie cutter approach, because it's really not relevant to them, and it won't give them that equity that they're looking for and that value that they're trying to bring to their particular client base. So part of that is, do you know their niche, right? And so for us, one of the first steps you want to do in being able to deliver this sort of information, these packages, and this branding content to these partners is to understand it, right? Do you know how easy it is to sell the products, right? That's something that it adds some sort of value, but is it a cost effective? Does it take up a lot of space in my normal pitch to add this? You want to really poll them, ask them, what do you see? Where do you think this solution could fit into what you do, versus sort of dictating it down, right? Are there things that they're doing and seeing in their particular marketplace that your product could enhance that value and bring more revenue to everyone involved without being a conflicting story or message, right? So I think really understanding their niche is sort of the first thing you really need to do in order to be able to package up the types of things they're looking for to make you a piece of their solution. On to the second thing, we also think really that you need to make this easy by providing these types of tools and information available to them in a way that makes it so it's non-intrusive, right? And so we've seen some things, companies like Serious Decisions are reporting that less than 20% of the partner marketing tools that you put in place, like partner portals and really big sort of come and take it tools, are really underutilized and under-accessed. We're projecting that this is going to be even more so in the specialized channel because you're very outside of the box of their normal day-to-day operations. You might be one of the first few partners that they really start adding into the portfolio. Building out something big or just simply telling them to go to a partner portal that you've already created that has a lot of content for a lot of things that aren't relevant to this niche player. That's the kind of stuff that becomes a real bottleneck into getting adoption and getting partners to really care about it when they are so niche. So, really the idea that we see is really if you can automate things, if you can push content, if you can make it so a specialized partner can have access to things that are relevant, that fit their niche, and have it more in a push model where you're pushing it to them and where they do business and how they do business, you'll find that you're creating an environment that allows them to be much more proactive in how they represent your brand and product when they have opportunities. And you want to understand that buying persona, if you will, of this niche partner. They're going to think differently than a VAR. They're going to have things they care about that are different. And you're going to need to be able to get that message to them where they do business, right? And so a salesperson who's feet on the street, they're in a different buying mode for the types of things that you deliver, and getting that to them in a way that makes sense for how they do business is very important. So I'll throw it back to you, Sam, for another poll.
All right. So for this next poll, the question is, how big is your indirect sales force? And we have 5 options here: less than 30, 30 to 50, 50 to 100, 100 to 500, and 500 plus. Let this sit open for a few more seconds. Let everyone get a chance to answer. All right, looks like it was slightly weighted more towards the 500 plus. We had 67% of the voters at 500 plus, and then 33% at less than 30. So to both ends of the spectrum there.
Great. Thanks, Sam. So to jump back into it after the poll question, we had the sort of third tactic we wanted to talk about, and that was really the showing the ROI piece in using accurate data to be able to enhance what these specialized partners are doing and how they interact with what you offer. And what we've really sort of seen over the years, and specifically in some of the niche areas, is that channel technology becomes sort of an integral part of the data that you can gather and how you can best show these partners the results and success of partnering with you and what it brings. A lot of times in the traditional channels, the sales, they're looking for sales on a plate. That sale on a plate equals a certain margin percentage, and they will place orders or recommend products on whoever's the easiest and whoever gives them the best price. And it's a pretty standard practice. You stay in front of them with spiffs, promotions, you give them offers of discounts, and you become an easy partner to resell. Unless they're smaller and technical, they care less about the product from a sales perspective and more about what the end user wants. They just want to be able to deliver it to the and keep the margins in line and make money. What we've seen in a lot of these specialized channels, and you're seeing that they care a little bit more about their brand, how your brand intermingles with their brand, and if they participate in the types of activities that you want them to do, be it marketing campaigns, running any sort of events, anything you want to do together, or simply leveraging the types of content that you've placed at the feet of the salespeople. They care a little bit more about, like, well, how did this work, and is this working correctly, and is this the right sort of thing if we're going to partner together? And so leveraging platforms and technology platforms that can track things like the amount of leads or conversions, the interactivity of what the sales reps are using when they've downloaded or used certain assets as part of a sales process. Do they see the types of results that make this relevant or not relevant? That sort of data can be very actionable for these specialized partners and give them a feeling of a real partnership where you're sharing things with them to help make them successful, they're sharing information back, and then you're providing an overall view to them of the types of things you provided and whether other people like them are seeing the value of what you do. And so really, we think of leveraging data as a way to increase that, right? And so if you've got good information and you can share that and you can really make sure that you're identifying and recruiting the best partners, you can do a couple things. You can help identify what they're doing and whether they're the right fit. You can also share that information back to show, these are the types of partners we're working with and this is the type of value that they're getting. Seeing what's working and what's not working across a channel is a very difficult thing to do. When you start bringing in niche players, it becomes even more difficult. Having that data set based off the optimization tools you provide is really valuable to sort of see what's working and what doesn't and try to increase the value of what you provide. And really keeping that relevant data on hand and making it sort of available, it really keeps it competitive, right? You have a good way to sort of see what's working, what doesn't, who is actively participating, who's not, what value they get out of it, and changing that as you see fit. I think it's a real benefit to sort of how you move through those murky waters with those channel partners. So in our mind, what we're trying to do and what we try to see, and especially when you come into this arena, right, is trying to draw these pieces together in a way that it seamlessly works for partners, and these specialized partners have a way to feel connected to your bigger overall channel program in a way that doesn't blur the lines between what they currently do for business and what they're hoping to do in the future. I have one more poll question here, Sam.
All right, so for this question, we have, what are your biggest challenges selling through the channel? We have three options for this one. We have mind share, adoption, and revenue. Give this a few more seconds for everyone to cast a vote. It looks like 67% said mind share, and then 33% had adoption.
Yeah, those would be the standard ones that we see all the time. That's great. So what we wanted to just finish up with was to give you a little background on TIE and why we've seen what we've seen and how we can share the information that we've shared. Obviously, there's a lot to learn about specialized partners. There's a lot that we as a company have yet to see. We've been working with a lot of technology companies for almost 30 years at this point. We're a publicly traded company in the Netherlands. We really started on the supply side, working with a lot of trading partners on the order intake, seeing what happened after partners placed orders from reselling products. And over the years, we really moved to the supply side. The demand side, trying to create interest and help partners sell more of the products. And so over the years, as we've kind of maneuvered through that, as a global company, we worked with partners in lots of different regions and theaters, and we've seen a lot of different types of problems. We've spent a lot of time trying to solve those sort of problems. And really, we've worked with a lot of tech companies. These are some of the ones we're working with today. And as you might see some of these logos, we're already seeing a lot of different types of partners through the different types of vendors that we work with. So the Hartford, as an example, has very specific types of partners. They're not really partners, they're brokers, right? They're insurance agents, and they can do a lot of different things, and they care about a lot of different things than what we see for, say, Motorola or Avaya or Zebra or Unify, where it's a much more traditional model. As we move into companies where we see someone like Webroot, they've got a lower cost on a sale, the product is less expensive, and they see a lot of managed service providers today. and they're much more savvy, they're much more light and looking for very different things. Someone like Deluxe, right? That's a check printing business, but they own so many brands and they have content and issues and partners that are very different than what we traditionally see, and they provide things in a way that matches that unique model. So a lot of the things that they care about for their partners doesn't actually carry the Deluxe brand. It's about the types of information that they share to make those partners successful, and less of an emphasis on their actual brand as a part of the inclusion of what they do. So as we've worked through a lot of these things, we as a company work with these different types of partners and their vendors, and we try to figure out how do we help automate and accelerate the partner business. And as a company, that is a very large undertaking, and we try to tackle it from all different spectrums. Really, the brand control and demand creation side is what we've seen and what we've been spending a lot of time on, especially when it comes to specialized channels in the last few years, is how do we help partners get connected to things that help automate processes, see content in a way and puts it in their hands in a way where they do business, they can help move the needle, and they feel that they're part of the solution rather than just a side note that gets things in a cookie cutter fashion. And obviously we've got other things here where we're trying to drive it all the way through the supply chain. We're trying to get data. We're trying to track the whole life cycle of a lead to a sale, to an order, to dollars, and what that looks like from a partner view and how the partner had to interact with you in that entire process. Really for us, one of the things we want as a takeaway to consider is based on these specialized channels, we've got some tools, something specifically called the Sales Resource Center that's designed in a way to push out sales and marketing collateral that's relevant on a personal basis to individual sales reps and individual partners, which is very, very needed when you get into these non-traditional channels. These are people that need to be able to talk about your product when it's relevant in the sales cycle that matches how they do business, and having some sort of partner portal for them to come back in and sort of take a deep dive in to find what they're looking for is not really going to work. Pushing that content into a way where they can touch it and access it without logins, without logging into something, having it being dynamic and searchable, having co-branding collateral that matches the niche they sell, and having that content filtered in a way that matches the persona of the type of partner that you're presenting it to. We think those sort of things are really key parts of doing business in this new world with these specialized partners, and really kind of giving them the things they need, where they do business, and how they do business. So that's really sort of one of the big takeaways for us is we do fit, we do have solutions that can match and help some of these struggles that we see, but really from a helping perspective, we wanted to make sure that you have the takeaways, what we've seen in the specialized channel, sharing it with you and hoping that that's relevant for you in 2017. So again, the key takeaways, trying to increase that revenue by making the packages easier to manage and relevant to their niche, making sure that if you do provide those packages and tools and content to them in their niche, you don't ask them to do a lot of work. You keep it to a minimum, make it very simple and easy for them. And then hopefully in this particular scenario, you're seeing that with these specialized partners sharing that data, having return on investment for the types of things that they do, being able to guide them down a path to success, having the data sets to do that would be a big help. And so that's really kind of what we wanted to present, and then we, Sam, I wanted to pass it back to you and open up any questions or anything that came through that we could try to help and answer.
Thanks, Shawn. For anyone who might have missed the introduction, if you would like to ask a question, you can do so using the chat window located in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. One question we had kind of came up during the presentation was from Steve here. What technology is out there that you see helping increase revenue for 2017?
That's a good question. It's a mix. We've seen it depends on what you consider a revenue driver. In some cases, that could be generating leads and generating leads to get in the hands of the sales teams. And other times, we've seen that one of the big pushes has been to get the offline sales increased, right? So things like I mentioned before with something like a tool like our Sales Resource Center, where you're really trying to push collateral into the sales reps' hands. That's assuming they've already generated enough interest either by a lead that you've given them or by them finding a lead on their own and they've got an opportunity to introduce you into an account. That is more of an offline increase conversion. Things like sales resource centers that push content into sales reps' hands and guide them through the buying cycle of your product are really interesting for 2017. On the other side of it, if you're really trying to create interest in a product, we see a big missing gap in the digital spend. A lot of these specialized partners are good at things like PPC. They're good at understanding SEO and SEM. We've seen a big uptick in the increase in desire to look at things like Google AdWords for the channel and using some of the technology platforms we have in partnership with Google AdWords to sort of help partners do that in a way that they don't artificially inflate bids and start ruining some of the direct digital marketing that you're doing as a brand yourself. So again, it could be on either side of the spectrum, but really Google AdWords we think is an underutilized and growing market target for the channel, and as well as offline sales, we've seen things like the Resource Center as a way to push content offline as a big driver.
Awesome. Another one from Janet. What is your preferred marketing tactic for 2017 to drive leads for the indirect specialized channels?
It's a good question. That would probably go right back to what I was just discussing on the Google AdWords. We've seen, again, that is and it depends on which channel you're specialized on. From a marketing perspective, if you're working with marketing agencies, they're very savvy at this, and they're doing this today, now, heavily. It's really about how do you piggyback, how do you get them to do that with your brand as well. In the non-marketing world, you're seeing a lot of consultants, business analysts, can be HR and finance. They're not as heavy into that space, and again, we're seeing local and regional search for these types of solutions tends to lead to specialized partners that aren't marketing agencies. So as mobile search has grown considerably, and people are looking for local search. Google has provided some analytics to companies like us that have said they think now 1 in 3 searches has local intent. That leads itself to bring in consultants, business analysts, and these specialized niche partners in very specific industries. Google AdWords is a great way to tap into that and to really bring that local search home and bring it into these types of partners that are a little bit more different than what you're seeing traditionally.
Do you include, this is a question from Gary actually, do you include business directories like the DUNS file in the mix of the PMC?
That's a great question. That's not what we normally do. We can connect to the types of systems and tools that other companies are using that are part of the process to import them or export them. From a sales resource center perspective, what we're normally trying to do, the big ask on these sort of programs is co-branded documents that are personalized without asking the individual sales reps to do that manually, and delivering it in a way that it could be training collateral, battle cards. You could have content created in a way that walks through sort of early stage, top of the funnel opportunities, all the way down to sort of final stage documents that'll help the sales reps move you through their sales cycle in a way that matches how they do business. So a lot of the content that we're pushing out in things like resource centers are more about connecting to the tools that you have that are relevant, or sharing the information that is needed to help make that salesperson successful in a walkthrough in that collateral content library, if you will.
Excellent. Well, that looks like all the questions everyone has at this time. So, Shawn, thank you very much for offering your time and sharing your knowledge with us.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Sam, for having me, and I hope everyone got a little bit of information out of this, and it was at least somewhat relevant. So I appreciate everyone taking the time to spend with us, and if you have any questions, you can make sure you reach out to us.